What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Why? Members get exclusive content. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you'll receive a notification every time that I drop a video, and you can go and check the video out and leave a comment and leave a like. If you support me, support the content, support the Go Up movement. It's late in the evening, and I plan on dropping this video today. So let me get right into it. This transpired in Corcoran State Prison back in 1995, where the young homie from Swan, now, I was trying to think of his name last night. It's either Mad Bone or Mad Dog, something like that. But a strong dude. He was a young, strong dude from Swan, and he was right there in Corcoran State Prison with me. Also there was a former Blood who now went by the name of Malik on the yard. He was not a Muslim, he said. He was just pro-black and had named himself that. Sometimes out there on the yard, he would preach to us. A lot of us looked up to Malik. He wasn't that much older, but maybe 40 years old. And he used to be from either a blood gang in Sacramento or from Pacoima, Peru, or something like that. I cannot recall. But he just gave up the gang life. He said that he had outgrew it. He used to be a strong dude from his hood, but that he no longer wanted to gang bang and cause this sort of damage to the community. And so he gave it up. I guess you can say he dropped out. And there in prison, I know people personally who have been stabbed for saying they no longer gang bang. Their gang, their former gang, stabbed them up. They didn't accept it. It's a dangerous enterprise. Well, Malik had even encountered some problems there on the yard. A couple of Bloods didn't like the fact that he had renounced the former gang and given it up. But Mad Dog or Mad Bone, the young homie from Swan, they were Cellys. And they were as close as brothers. I can see why he looked up to Malik. Many of us really did. Malik was appeared to be a strong dude, highly intelligent, articulate, and clearly had a strong love for his people. He used to sit back and kick history to us. And he was very bright. And you can see that he used to be someone from his gang. He was totally dedicated. Now, just to a different cause. And every time you saw Malik, you saw the young homie from Swan. They would be walking the yard together. They sit at the tables in the day room and eat together, even though they were Cellys. They still spent a lot of time together outside of the cell. They were very close. Even Swan told me later on, when I saw him in the hole, that he loved Malik like he loved his own brother. They had been in the cell together for a couple of years and had grown very tight. And he said that Malik would sit up and have him mesmerized for hours at 2 and 3 a.m. talking about black history, that he was so well versed and had such a volume of knowledge that he just felt, blessed to be in the cell with him and learning all of this stuff. Malik, showed him how to make weapons to protect himself. He talked to him about gang banging and why he shouldn't be a gang member anymore, etc. The homie from Swan, at this time, he was probably about 25 or 26 years old. So Malik had an impression upon him, being an OG homie, or at least formerly so. And when a couple of Bloods tripped on Malik for renouncing the gang there on the yard, just really had a couple of words with him about it, his Celly came to his defense and squabbled one of the Bloods right there on the yard. This is how much he cared about Malik. He had his back. even though I can't remember who the blood was that he squabbled down, but that he squabbled down was from an LA gang. And Malik was not from an LA gang, even when he was gang banging. But Swan, he still squabbled somebody from LA over Malik. This is how much love he had for him. And then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, well, a bloody situation transpired right there in the cell with Swan and Malik, and no one could believe it. I later talked to Swan in the hole when he was in the hole for this situation, when I was trying to grasp what had happened. We all were. There were rumors, all kinds of rumors about why this bloody situation had transpired right there in the cell with these two people. No one on the yard would have suspected or expected this because they were so close to one another. But the dude from Swan had a little size on him, and he was intelligent and bright as well, and he was a strong dude who lived by certain codes. And though he did not knock Malik for being a former gang member and renouncing it, well, from what he told me, it got ugly in there because one night Malik told him what he was in prison for. And, well, according to Swan, Malik was in prison for unaliving his baby's mother and a different child that his baby mother had, a child that was not with Malik. Malik had one child by her that was like 3 years old or so. But the lady had another child, a daughter, that was 7 or 8 years old. And one night, they had a volatile relationship, Malik and his baby's mother. Going back and forth, he was arrested a couple of times for domestic violence, etc. One night, Malik, according to Swan, Malik admitted that he blacked out, that he got so angry when he thought that his baby mother was cheating, even though they were not together anymore. But he still could not let her go. When he thought that she had been with another man, that he went to her house, he was enraged. And well, an argument ensued. And he stabbed her up and unalived her right there in front of the two children. Now, it gets worse because according even to Malik, he claimed that he had blacked out and lost it and that he didn't know what he was doing anymore. But he thought that the little girl, the other child, not his child, could identify him. She knew who he was. He had been dating her mother for years because he had like a 3-year-old child with her. So he helped to raise the little girl, the stepfather. And he was worried that she would identify him. So he beat her and he stabbed the little girl. But she survived. She did not die. He stabbed her multiple times. He was trying to unalive her. Again, he's claiming to Swan. Swan said that he was even crying when he said this part. And that he can tell he was just trying to get it off his chest. That it had been eating him up and he couldn't essentially reveal that secret to anyone. That he had stabbed and beaten a child, an 7 or 8 year old little girl that he had raised and once supposedly loved. After brutally unaliving her mother right in front of her, he was so possessed, he had blacked out, yet he had enough sense not to stab or unalive his own child. The 3-year-old was there as well. Yes, the 3-year-old could not identify him or, speak and say that he did this or whatever. But, the 8-year-old probably not so much either. There's no excuse for beating and stabbing a little girl and trying to unalive her. She just so happened, he thought that she was dead. She just so happened to have somehow, by the grace of whomever you believe in, survived her wounds. And in fact, indeed, point Malik out. He was arrested and found guilty of all charges. In fact, he had really not denied it, just tried to say essentially that it was a crime of passion, that he had lost it, and that he had blacked out, and therefore essentially was not responsible for his actions. The courts did not buy that, and neither did Swan. Swan said that he was heartbroken, that he was hurt, that Swan said that he had a little sister, 10 or 11 years old, and all he can think about was her. And what if this had happened to her? And he said that he said it was like he was losing a brother, because he knew immediately, he said, that he had to do something to Malik that night. That he would not sleep in a cell with Malik another damn day. That this dude had to go by any means necessary for being an attempted child unaliver. And that it still hurt him because, again, he was like a big brother to him. He really felt that way, and I can see the relationship with my own two eyes that they had there on the yard. He was like a big brother to him. He really cared about this dude. He really looked up to him. Again, a lot of us looked up to him, but not in the way that Swan did. They was in a cell together for years. They loved each other, bro. This is why Malik had opened up to him and spilt his guts, because it had been eating him up. He knew that he was wrong, as far as I'm concerned. Perhaps he had some sort of compunction. Doesn't matter. There's no excuse. You have violated a serious rule and protocol, transgressing against a child, an indefensible child. Yeah, I agree. You must go. Swan said, even though he was hurt by what he knew that he had to do, he was undeterred because he knew that he had to do it. And later on that night, as Malik lied there in the bed, unaware that his little brother had sinister machinations. And well, he said when Malik fell fast asleep, he did wait until he fell asleep to give himself a decided advantage. He jumped off his bunk with a makeshift weapon. And first, he had a hot pot that he bust Malik upside the head with, just to wake him up and then daze him some. And then, with his sharp makeshift weapon, he began to butcher Malik. It was a bloody scene inside of the cell. When the police came and made all of the ruckus and woke everyone up, because it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, everybody's looking outside their door. The nurses are running in the cell, and the cell is full of blood. And Malik is coming out on a stretcher. Holes everywhere. Head leaking from being hit upside the head with the hot pot and stabbed a few times in the head. It was a bloody scene. He had let loose all of his angst, Swan, all of the disgust that he felt from hearing the story of what Malik had done, because Malik had went into detail, saying that the little girl was essentially begging for her life, telling him not to do it. Don't hurt me. Basically calling him daddy or something. Don't hurt me, daddy. Swan was just disgusted by it. And so I think that it was some of the love that he had for Malik that was coming out in the form of that weapon, because he just couldn't, he was so disappointed. He just couldn't believe that he had ended up loving someone and caring about someone like this, that was in there for potentially unaliving a child in a most brutal fashion. And he took it out on Malik. And he caught another charge because he almost unalived Malik. Malik almost did not make it. He did survive his injuries, but barely. He had been stabbed some 19 to 20 times. This is rare on a level 3 yard. It's almost unheard of. On a level 4 yard, it's normal program. But on a level 3 yard, not so much. This was different. But Swan was different, and the situation was different. And Malik had been locked up for many years, and that's how he had made it down to a level 3 yard. As I said, he was 40 years old. I don't remember exactly when the crime had happened, but it happened many years earlier. And he had been on good behavior, as I said, that turned his life around, stopped gang banging and all that. Hadn't gotten to any trouble, and so he made it down to a level 3 yard. You'll find a lot of lifers down there on a level 3 yard, at least back in those days. And he got comfortable in his cell with someone he believed to be like his little brother, that he cared about as well, and was lacing up with everyday life situations and how to handle them and how to handle certain situations in prison, etc. He was the OG homie that had been locked up for many years, had a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge about prison, the government, the state, why prisons were built, black history, etc. And he was lacing them with everything. But he got so comfortable that he finally revealed that. I think he had been hiding it. I believe most people thought that he was in there. They knew he was in there for unaliving his baby mother, but that was it. Perhaps he had skated through with his paperwork all of that time. But he himself ended up revealing what he was in there for. And it outraged Swan, and he went to work on him and butchered Malik. And Malik barely survived the attack. That's life in prison, particularly when you're in there for such a heinous crime against a child. He's lucky that he did survive. Had he been on a level 4, he would not have. I'll be back with more content. Oh, Malik, that's why I thought about that story last night. It came to me because I remember that situation vividly, and it disgusted me when I heard everything about it. You know, it disgusted me. I remember. No excuse for brutalizing a child ever. Stay free, people.